She's fighting against me. I'm her niece. I spent so many summers at her house and hanging out at her house, and we had good talks, and I watched her dysfunctional marriage.
The lights on set were dim, the air heavy with silence. The cameras waited, their red dots glowing like unblinking eyes. And at the center of it all sat Kody Brown, arms crossed, jaw tight, that familiar defiant smirk hiding a storm that was about to break loose. The sister wives tell-all had always been dramatic, but this time, it was different. This wasn't a reunion. It wasn't about closure. It was a reckoning. The producers knew it. The audience felt it. And deep down, so did Kody. Because behind every smile, behind every carefully crafted TLC scene, behind the facade of a united plural family, were cracks. Deep, ugly cracks that even the cameras couldn't hide anymore. The host took a deep breath, her voice steady but cautious. Kody, let's start from the beginning. The family has said there were things we never saw. Things that happened off camera. Would you like to explain? Kody's eyes darted to the side. His smirk faltered for a second. He leaned back in the chair, exhaling slowly. There's a lot people don't understand, he said. They think they know my life, because they watched a show. But they don't know what really happened behind closed doors. And that's when it began, the unraveling of a man who built his world on control, pride, and illusion. Long before the cameras rolled, Kody Brown was a man chasing perfection, a man convinced that God had chosen him to lead a family like no other. He didn't just want love. He wanted legacy. Christine once said, Kody wanted to be a man of vision. But he forgot that his vision came at our expense. Back in those early days, it looked beautiful, 4 wives, 1 family, 1 faith. The Brown family was supposed to represent harmony, spiritual strength, and love without limits. But beneath that image, something darker was always brewing. Robyn entered the family like a spark in dry grass. He became someone they didn't recognize. Someone obsessed with control. The tell-all lights caught every twitch of his expression as the questions cut deeper. Christine said you emotionally abandoned her. That you stopped showing up long before she left. Is that true? Kody laughed, but it wasn't real laughter. It was the kind that tries to drown guilt. That's ridiculous. Christine knew I was stretched thin. I was trying to keep this family together. But the clips told another story. Flashbacks rolled, Kody walking away mid-conversation, ignoring Christine's tears, brushing off Meri's pain, dismissing Yanel's frustration. The host looked at him again. And Robyn. For a moment, Kody froze. His jaw tightened. Because everyone knew, Robyn wasn't just another wife. She was the one he chose when everyone else stopped being convenient. Meri's voice echoed from a previous interview clip. When Robyn came in, I thought we were expanding love. But it felt like I was losing mine. The studio went quiet. Even the crew stopped moving. This wasn't just about plural marriage anymore. It was about control, manipulation, and betrayal dressed up as faith. Kody had always told the world he was a man of conviction. But conviction without compassion becomes cruelty, Yanel once confided. He stopped listening. Everything was about obedience, about his authority. If you questioned him, you were disrespecting him. And that's when the first cracks became visible, the beginning of the downfall. Because every secret has a shelf life. And the truth, no matter how deeply buried, always finds a way to rise. The host pressed again. Kody, when you look back now, do you think you made mistakes as a husband? Kody leaned forward, his eyes cold but flickering with something between anger and regret. I did what I had to do to lead my family. Sometimes leadership doesn't look kind. Sometimes it looks tough. Meri's pre-recorded response cut in, a whisper heavy with pain, tug. The studio lights dimmed again, but the tension didn't fade. It thickened. The tell-all wasn't just another interview anymore, it was turning into a confessional battlefield. Kody Brown shifted in his chair, his voice echoing through the cold silence. He thought he could control the story. He always had. But what happens when the narrative you built starts to collapse from within? That was the question every viewer was asking, and the wives were finally ready to answer. The camera cut to Christine. Her eyes were tired but steady, the look of someone who had already lived through the war and survived. She wasn't here to hurt him, she was here to end the silence. You know what hurt the most? Christine began softly. It wasn't that he chose someone else. It's that he stopped choosing me long before he said it out loud. The host leaned forward. Christine, are you saying Kody emotionally checked out before you left? Christine nodded. Completely. He was living in the same house, but it felt like a stranger walked past me every morning. The kids saw it. Everyone did. But he made us feel like it was our fault. That's where the first secret began to surface, Kody's manipulation masked as leadership. Behind the cameras, behind the staged family dinners and cheerful confessionals, Kody had become obsessed with control. Every decision, every argument, every emotion in the household revolved around his approval. He didn't just want obedience. He wanted submission. Meri's voice cracked in a pre-recorded clip. He always said love should be unconditional. But his love came with terms, loyalty, silence, and agreement. If you disagreed, you were the problem. The host turned to Kody. Is that true? Did you ever control how they felt, what they said? Kody gave that same uneasy smile, the one fans had come to know, the kind that said I'm not guilty, but I'm not innocent either. I'm the head of the family, he replied. Somebody has to lead. Somebody has to make S. Christine blinked in disbelief. Respected you. Or agreed with you because she was scared to lose you. The words hit like thunder. The room fell silent again. Because what Christine said wasn't just a question, it was an accusation. And Kody had no defense left. Clips from earlier seasons flashed across the screen. Kody laughing with Robyn while Meri sat alone. Kody ignoring Christine's tears. Kody brushing off Yanel's opinions. Each moment now looked different, darker, when played against the truth. It wasn't love, it was favoritism disguised as faith. It wasn't leadership, it was control hidden behind religion. And this was only the first secret the tell-all exposed. Robyn's interview played next. Tears shimmered down her cheeks. I never wanted this, she said quietly. I didn't come here to break the family. But somehow, everything changed when I entered. The audience wanted to believe her. But even her tears couldn't hide the tension in her voice, the guilt of knowing she had become the center of a collapse she couldn't stop. Kody told me once, she continued, you're the only one who truly understands me. I didn't realize what that meant until it was too late. Because that sentence, you're the only one who understands me, was the dagger. It was how he separated her from the others, how he justified leaving the rest behind emotionally. He didn't just build a relationship with Robyn. He built a fortress, one that no other wife could enter. The host's voice trembled as she closed the segment. Kody, do you realize how much damage that favoritism caused? Kody's face hardened. You're twisting it. I loved all my wives. I did my best. Christine shook her head. You can't love 4 people equally when you've already chosen one in your heart. The room went dead silent again. That line echoed long after the cameras stopped rolling. The narrator's voiceover played as the screen faded to black. In the next part of our tell-all, the wives reveal. The stage lights returned, softer this time, but the air felt heavier than before. After Christine's shocking confessions and Kody's silence, viewers everywhere were glued to their screens. But what came next would shake even the most loyal fans, because this part wasn't about love anymore. It was about money, control, and betrayal. The host leaned forward, her voice low but sharp. Kody, several of your wives have hinted that finances were never truly shared equally. That there were secret accounts, secret deals. What really happened with the family's money? The question hit like a hammer. For years, Kody had preached about unity, how the Browns were a team, how every dollar was for the greater good. But behind those sermons were numbers that didn't add up. Meri looked down at her hands. Christine inhaled deeply. Yanel's face tightened. And Robyn? Robyn froze, her lips parting slightly, as if she knew this moment was coming. Yanel spoke first. He controlled everything, she said firmly. Every paycheck from TLC, every investment, every expense, it all went through him. That's not true. Kody interrupted, his voice rising. We made those decisions together. No, Yanel cut in. You told us what we were spending on. That's not the same thing. The audience gasped. This wasn't the polite, rehearsed sister wives they'd watched for over a decade. This was raw, unfiltered truth, and it was brutal. For years, fans had speculated how the Browns could afford their multiple homes, land projects, and endless relocations. But as it turned out, the dream was built on imbalance, and on secrets that Kody thought would never surface. Christine's voice cracked as she added, there were things we didn't even know existed. Property in his name only. Accounts he said were for the family, but they were never touched unless Robyn needed something. Robyn's eyes widened. That's not fair, Christine, fair. Christine shot back. You had the best house, the NE. The studio felt colder tonight. The wives sat farther apart, their hands folded, their eyes downcast. Kody entered last, shoulders squared, eyes blazing. He wasn't ready for what was coming, but faith, once twisted, always comes back to demand the truth. The host began quietly. Kody, the women have said your faith became a weapon, that you used religion to justify control. Do you believe that's fair? Kody smirked. No. I believe in order. In leadership. Someone has to guide the family toward God. But Christine didn't let the moment pass. You guided us toward you, not God. The audience gasped. Years earlier, Kody had preached that plural marriage was a sacred calling, that obedience brought blessings. But what the cameras never showed was how that obedience slowly became fear. Yanel's voice played from a past interview. He'd quote verses about submission whenever we questioned him. It wasn't faith anymore, it was control dressed in scripture. Meri nodded softly. We believed we were serving God. But in truth, we were serving Kody's ego. Robyn stared at her hands, tears forming. For once, she didn't defend him. The host leaned in. Kody, they say you used fear, fear of losing salvation, fear of rejection, to keep them from leaving. What do you say to that? He hesitated. The silence was heavy. I never forced anyone to stay. Christine whispered, you didn't have to. You made us believe that leaving meant betraying God himself. The words struck deeper than any accusation. Because that was the truth buried beneath all the family's smiles, faith had become the invisible chain. Flashback footage rolled, the wives gathered in prayer, Kody standing at the center, voice raised with conviction. We are chosen. The world won't understand us, but we are doing what is right in the eyes of God. But behind that conviction was fear, the fear of questioning, the fear of thinking. There's a silence now, the kind that doesn't just fill a room, but suffocates it. The tell-all lights blaze, cameras roll, and yet, the Brown family sits frozen. The air between them. Heavy. Toxic. Electric. The last secret had just fallen, the kind that doesn't just end a relationship, it rewrites a legacy. But as the host tries to move forward, there's one more question left hanging. one that fans have been waiting years to hear answered. Kody, is it true you've been living a double life all along? The camera pans, his jaw tightens, his eyes flicker between the women who once called him husband, partner, protector. There's no smile now. No charm. No excuses left. He exhales. And for the first time in years, Kody doesn't fight the question. Soft piano fades in because maybe deep down, he knows the story's already been written. Not by him, but by those who finally found the courage to speak. Christine leans forward first, her voice steady, but soft, like she's been rehearsing this moment her entire life. He told each of us what we wanted to hear. Promised us love, promised us forever. But he never meant it. Kody built an empire on control, not love. A long pause. The studio goes silent. Yanel nods, her lips trembling as she adds quietly, we believed in the family dream. We raised the kids, carried the weight, while he chased the cameras. Cut, flashback montaged images flicker across the screen, the sister wives' family in happier days. Smiles, laughter, big houses, kids running in the desert. Then, quick cuts, arguments, separations, tears behind closed doors, the audience watches as the illusion crumbles. For over a decade, fans saw a family built on faith and unity. But behind that lens, a man who'd learned how to hide truth in plain sight. Back to the tell-all set, Robyn's face hardens. She shifts uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact. The host notices. The camera zooms in. Robyn, the host says, you've always defended him. The tell-all may have ended that night, but the storm didn't. Because the truth, once unleashed, has a way of digging deeper than anyone expects. A week later, something unexpected dropped online. A leak? An envelope full of files, stamped confidential, court evidence. No one knew who sent it. No one knew who leaked it. But the headlines said it all, Kody Brown's hidden accounts, and secret deals exposed. Soft static sound fades in. Inside that envelope were bank statements, property transfers, and unsigned contracts, connecting Kody's name to secret investments, private accounts, and hush payments linked to his own family trust. It wasn't just gossip anymore. This was evidence. Christine's phone lit up first, an anonymous message, check the Arizona filings. He moved everything before the split. She froze. And in that instant, she knew, the tell-all hadn't revealed everything. It had only begun to scratch the surface. Cut to narration, tense and cinematic, the leaked files painted a new picture. One that shocked even those closest to him. Kody had been quietly shifting assets from the family business, CB Holdings LLC, into private trusts. Some under his name. Some under names that fans had never heard of. And the timing. Exactly when the marriages began to fall apart. Every promise of shared property and equal family investment that he'd told the wives was a lie buried in paperwork. Camera flash sound, imaginary news montage, online forums exploded. Reddit threads dissected every document, every date, every signature. Fans posted screenshots. Bloggers went live. The narrative that Kody tried to control for years was now spiraling faster than he could stop it. Even TLC stayed silent. No statements. No denials. Because deep down, the network knew, if this story was real, it could destroy more than Kody's image. It could burn the sister wives' brand to the ground. Voiceover softens, emotional tone, Meri sat alone when she saw the leaks. When the courtroom doors closed that day, the echo didn't fade inside the courthouse. It traveled, straight to Los Angeles. Straight to the network that made the Brown family famous. TLC. For over a decade, Sister Wives had been their golden child, a show built on faith, love, and unconventional family. But now, That same family had become the network's biggest liability. Because when truth begins to bleed into the headlines, networks start to panic. Low hum sound, background of typing, newsroom chaos, inside the TLC headquarters, phones rang non-stop. Emails flooded. Executives whispered behind closed doors. Can we still air season 20? Will advertisers pull out? What if more leaks come? The network's PR department scrambled, drafting statements that said everything, without saying anything. We are aware of recent developments involving the Brown family. TLC remains committed to the privacy and well-being of all parties involved. But fans weren't buying it. The silence from TLC only made things worse. Because silence, in a scandal, always sounds like guilt. Voiceover softens, slow, cinematic tone, behind the scenes, editors were working overtime. They were told to cut, trim, delete. Remove any footage that could make Kody look too aggressive, too cold, too controlling. Producers argued, we can't just rewrite history. But the orders were clear. TLC didn't want truth. They wanted containment. Every episode became a battlefield of what to keep, and what to bury. Whole scenes disappeared. Conversations mysteriously muted. Moments where the wives questioned Kody, suddenly gone. Because for TLC, it wasn't about family anymore. It was about survival. Cut, newsroom montage with dramatic beats. Meanwhile, fans noticed the changes. Old episodes started disappearing from the streaming catalog. Entire clips wiped. Reddit exploded. Why did episode 12 vanish? They are trying to protect Kody. Where's the tell-all footage they promised? The lights in the studio faded one by one, like memories dimming into silence. The chairs were empty now. Only the echo of everything said, and everything left unsaid, lingered in the air. Kody sat alone in the corner, hands folded, eyes staring into the dark reflection of the glass. For years, he built his identity around being the husband, the leader, the chosen one. But now, stripped of cameras and applause, he was just a man surrounded by ghosts of choices he could never take back. The next morning, the world woke up to headlines that spread like wildfire. The Brown family breaks apart, tell-all shatters the illusion. Clips flooded social media. Christine's calm defiance. Meri's quiet truth. Yanel's steady resolve. Robyn's tears. And Kody's silence. For fans, it was drama. For the Browns, it was the end of a religion built inside their own home. Christine stood outside her house the following week, breathing in the cool morning air. No cameras. No producers. Just peace. Her phone buzzed, a text from Yanel. Feels weird, doesn't it? Like we finally stopped holding our breath. Christine smiled. It feels like freedom. Inside her home, the laughter of her kids echoed through the walls, real laughter, unfiltered and unscripted. For the first time, the silence didn't hurt. Across town, Meri packed boxes in her bed and breakfast. Each photograph she pulled from the wall felt like closing a chapter. She didn't need the world to understand her story anymore, she just needed to live it. Her voiceover in the final tell-all clip said it best. I waited for him to see me for years. Turns out, I only needed to see myself. That line became the quote that broke the internet, a quiet anthem of rebirth. Robyn, meanwhile, disappeared from public view. No interviews, no posts, no statements. She was the only one who stayed near Kody, though even she knew something between them had changed. The foundation that once held them together had cracked beyond repair. The lights in the studio faded one by one, like memories dimming into silence. The chairs were empty now. Only the echo of everything said, and everything left unsaid, lingered in the air. Kody sat alone in the corner, hands folded, eyes staring into the dark reflection of the glass. For years, he built his identity around being the husband, the leader, the chosen one. But now, stripped of cameras and applause, he was just a man surrounded by ghosts of choices he could never take back. The next morning, the world woke up to headlines that spread like wildfire. The Brown family breaks apart, tell-all shatters the illusion. Clips flooded social media. Christine's calm defiance. Meri's quiet truth. Yanel's steady resolve. Robyn's tears. And Kody's silence. For fans, it was drama.